The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Who should the Canucks have prioritized, Filip Hronek or Nikita Zadorov? You know what the right answer is? Mark Friedman, baby! Let's go!
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy hump day, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer since 2013, currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode of Locked On Canucks, we got to thank you for tuning in, because guess what? It is your Canucks every damn day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and if you haven't done so already, you can do us a solid by liking or subscribing for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I also got to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Kyle Bound, my co-host, doing the most on Locked On Canucks with 3 episodes yesterday, capped off by his episode recapping the Filip Hronek extension. But on today's episode, we want to talk about the fact that, did the Canucks actually get that right? Did they get it right signing Hronek for 8 years? Effectively, perhaps choosing Filip Hronek over Nikita Zadorov now. Still a chance that both stick around, but now that we've seen the dollar figure for Hronek, it's not a short-term deal in the low 6s. It's a long-term deal in the low 7s. So even less cap space to potentially re-sign Nikita Zadorov. Did the Canucks get it right, prioritizing Filip Hronek over Nikita Zadorov? We'll get into that. I'll also touch on some other news and notes and talk about Kyle Bound's insecurities. All that and more coming up on Locked On Canucks. Before we get to it, let me introduce my co-host, Flex Bowen, with bigger guns than Filip Hronek. What's going on,
man? Oh, man. You know what? Muscles or no muscles, I'm here today on this sunny Wednesday in Vancouver, British Columbia. All over the place, man. Not going to front, okay? Truly affected by what happened last night in the Stanley Cup Finals. Still feeling like a little beep. You know what I'm saying? I should get over the fact that the Oilers are still in the dance. I should just focus on what's next for my team, right? Focus on the moment. Focus on what I can control, right? And that's my feelings towards my own team, right? I should just be all over this Hronek contract, all over the potential of Jake Gensel being a member of the Vancouver Canucks. But here I am again, a little sad that the Oilers are still in the dance. We'll talk more about that in like 10 minutes, because I feel as if this topic is way more important. Now, yesterday, again, I dropped that conversation about Hronek signing that 8-year deal. 8 years, man. That's a long time for Filip Hronek. And I was slurping him. I was, quote unquote, doing the stroking, right? I was loving it. West Coast bias, only feeling good things. Quinn Hughes' D partner, okay? Everyone likes a good D partner. Just the truth. That being said, someone in the comments yesterday made me think, okay? And it made me think about this. Nikita Zadorov was twice the defenseman Filip Hronek was in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm not even exaggerating. Now, how much should I be looking into that? When, again, coming to the conclusion that the Canucks made the right call by keeping Filip Hronek, because doesn't it matter how a player plays when the moment is very, very, very big? And isn't it very telling that Zadorov was our number 2 defenseman against the Oilers, against the Predators in the playoffs? Man, oh man, did the Canucks get this right, Trevor?
It's honestly, I'm still kind of waffling with it, but I'll say with the Hronek extension, there's risk with it, right? There's risk with signing this guy for 8 years, $7.25 million now. Again, he had, I'm going to call it the last 2 seasons, a season and a half of that have been really, really strong, right? His last season in Detroit before he got dealt here was solid. He was really spectacular in the first half of this season before tailing off. I'm not going to say I hate the contract, but there's risk involved with it. And I think, the Canucks know it. And again, there's no perfect player in this league, really, aside from Connor McDavid. So everyone's got some flaws. But, I think Hronek, he's got to prove he's more that first half guy than the second half guy. If he's the second half guy, then the contract is a big mistake. Now, when we talk about playoffs and prioritizing guys, one thing that I want to remind people about is that, Filip Hronek was also in his first, getting his first postseason experience, right? Where Nikita Zadorov, he'd been there, I think it was his 5th or 6th season being in the playoffs. So,
Mhm.
you know what? I think with Filip Hronek, Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, again, we talked about Hughes and Pettersson not really having that experience aside from the bubble. Filip Hronek was another guy who was really trying to figure out what playoff hockey was all about. So
True.
at the end of the day, I think Hronek is younger. He plays a premium position. So I'm gonna tentatively say that the Canucks did get this right
Yeah.
because they can theoretically keep both guys. And I think the sticker shock with Zadorov is going to be greater than what it is with Hronek, because I think with Hronek, you knew if he's going to sign long term, it was probably going to be in the low 7s.
Mhm.
But with Zadorov, this guy probably should get paid under $5 million, but could command 6+ on the open market, right? So there's gonna be more sticker shock with Zadorov. So, I don't think it's gonna be a popular opinion, but I actually think the Canucks did get this one right. But I'm not super confident in that answer.
You know what? It's ironic how you say, I don't think this is going to be a popular thing I'm saying by saying that, yeah, the Canucks got it right, but the whole Filip Hronek thing, again, I didn't do too much research on how the people were feeling about the extension, but overall, I feel as if people were confident in it. People were okay with it. Maybe that has a lot to do with the whole 8-year thing. Maybe that has a lot to do with, again, having some certainty for Quinn Hughes long term when it comes to having a partner, right? You see the whole Devon Taves thing with Cale Makar. You can kind of get a similar picture here. Or maybe it's just what Mark is saying, okay? For real. Where's everyone's faith in Alvin? He knows what he's doing, okay? Mark saying that Alvin knows what he's doing. Maybe that's where all this swagger slash sureness is coming from. Because again, Zadorov, fan favorite, that type of guy, a powerful defenseman. What a figure in the playoffs. Scored some big goals. Did everything. And here we are picking Hronek, who did absolutely nothing in the second half of the season, it feels like. Outside of just, doing the least. And his floor, I'll say this, his floor is a lot better than Zadorov's floor. Let's be real. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
real. More secure, more safe, super strong, super pet. He's got the intangibles to always at least be like 84 overall, 83 overall, all that jazz. Where was I going with this point? I'll say this. I think the Canucks made the right call too. A lot of it has to do with the age, man. It's 26. You kind of forget about the fact that he's only 26. It kind of hit me like a ton of bricks after the 8-year extension when you kind of look into his bio and whatnot. This guy has room to improve. And I guess I'll follow up by asking you a similar question, or, a question based off that statement. You believe that this guy can get better? Because I totally do. It has a lot to do with what you just said. He just went through his first playoffs. He spent a lot of time in Detroit. Detroit sucked. This was a whole new experience. You learn from your experiences. There was that quote from Ian Cole, right, saying that somebody came up to him in the dressing room and was like, "Holy crap! Like playing in the playoffs is like playing the biggest game of your life every day." I feel as if that quote came from a guy like Filip Hronek, right? It's all new to him. Yeah, Trevor, do you think he has room to get better? And finish it off by comparing him to another guy in the league, when it's all said and done with Hronek reaching his potential.
Yeah, so in terms of Hronek hitting another gear, I think there's definitely another gear he can hit. But for me, it's mainly consistency. Like, this season he had 5 goals and 48 points. I think scoring wise, I'm not sure how much higher the ceiling is. But that being said, I mean, if he was able to continue his early season performance throughout the year, he's a 70-point guy. He's one of the highest scoring defensemen in the NHL. He was one of the highest scoring defensemen in the NHL early on in the season. So maybe there's another gear there offensively, but I think the main thing with Filip Hronek and his game has got to be the consistency. And I do feel like his production plummeted last season. It was mainly due to puck luck, I think, more or less. His reads and crisp, or his passes in the offensive zone weren't as clean. But I think there is, some room to have a more consistent player there. And again, this coaching staff has proven that they're pretty damn good at developing defensemen and helping them reach their potential, whether they're old or young, right? Shout out to Tyler Myers figuring out the season at the age of 34 for the first time in 5 years in Vancouver. So I do think there's another gear there with Hronek, but I think my other fear is, Kyle, I said it time and time again, every Dayers know, did you pay Filip Hronek based on the fact that he spent almost the entire season playing with Quinn Hughes? How good is Filip Hronek when he's not playing with Quinn Hughes? We didn't see a lot of that this season in Vancouver. The numbers indicated, and I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, that he was really not that good when he was not paired with Quinn Hughes. So that shouldn't be a problem in Vancouver for a long time, as long as they have, the 4 defensemen below them are, adequate, right? It looks like these guys, like Hronek and Hughes, are going to play together for a long time. Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
Hughes is Hronek's best friend
Well,
here.
yeah. Well, there was that quote from Alvin too, right? You kind of mentioned how there's a possibility of signing a guy like this for 8 years and also seeing him be on his own pair. And reality is this, right? That's going to happen eventually. Not full-time, maybe not even part-time, but maybe part-time, right? You're going to see Hronek and Hughes split apart. It is what it is. That's what happens. It's a long season. Maybe, just maybe, you'll see him play with, I don't know who. Like, there's a lot of defensemen missing on this team, right? We don't even know who's going to be on the team next year. But the them splitting up is going to be a thing, and I'm curious to see how he does when that opportunity does come about. Because, yeah, with Hughes and Hronek playing together, you get, like, again, one of the best pairings in the NHL. Harmon Dial yesterday on Donnie and Daly before the signing went down talked about that, right? These two were arguably the best pairing in the league all season long. That being said, there is a future there where you could see them split apart. And look at this comment from Matt. Okay, well, what does this mean for Willander going forward? Does Willander ever play with a guy like Filip Hronek? Who knows? Who knows? And the more and more I talk about our defensemen in general, right? Like, you're talking about Hronek for 8 years. Quinn Hughes, I know he has 3 years left on his deal. You start talking about DPD, right? DPD, this guy's looking like a solid prospect. Tom Willander, like, there's a foundation there. Even Carson Soucy, a really good defenseman. Like, this is overall a time for Canucks fans to kind of look back and realize that, holy crap, we've come a long way. We've come a long way. Straight up. Like, it wasn't that long ago where our number 2 defenseman, it was literally like 15 and a half months ago where our number 2 defenseman was Luke Schenn. And if it wasn't Luke Schenn, it was Ethan Bear.
Yeah, the Canucks have come a long ways, that's for sure, man. And I think on the other side too, like let's get into the Canucks cap situation and whether or not like we think Zadorov may be coming back, because again, there's kind of it's a up and down situation with Zadorov. Some recent reports from Milstein and other Canuck reporters in the market. When I think about someone like Tom Willander as well, I think Tom Willander could be, you project him to be a top 4 defenseman, right? And he might not
Obviously,
play with Quinn Hughes. But maybe it's Hronek and Willander on the right side for a long time to come. And I think if you're a Canucks fan, you hope that's the case.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. Like,
yeah,
that's strong.
Mm-hmm. And I think with DPD as well, I don't want to get too excited about, 3rd, 4th round picks, right? Like, look how excited we all were about Jack Rathbone and what's he doing? He's now less than a half-point game player in the AHL. He's actually going to be a UFA. So again, caution in the wind with some of the lower prospects like DPD, although he's shown some promise as well. Let's get into Zadorov and the rest of the Canucks defense on the other side and talk about Kyle, your insecurities, man. Come on. Your Flex Bowen buddy. There's no reason.
I'm a little B, bro. Beep. I'm a little beep. You know what I'm saying? Straight up right now, man. I'm making a mockery of Canucks fans everywhere based on the emotions that I'm spewing out into the world. But man, oh man, the Oilers continuing to play hockey. Dude, I'm just a human being at the end of the day. I'm just a Findu at the end of the day. It's traumatic. I just want them to be over with. I don't want them celebrating anymore. When I see them celebrate, what do I think about? I think about Game 7, Round 2. When? 2024.
Let's get to break, man. Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. Before we get to the other side, we got to shout out our friends over at Game Time. You know the deal, baby. If you're looking for last-minute tickets, the only place you should be going is Game Time, okay? Because right now, you can find tickets for MLB, NHL, all that and more on Game Time, okay? And when it comes to baseball, Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. And you know what? If you're in the Lower Mainland and you want to go cheer on the Mariners, and you want those last-minute tickets, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets, okay? And when I talk about that lowest price guarantee, if the Game Time gets it wrong and you find tickets cheaper elsewhere, Game Time will credit you with 110% of the difference. Those generous guys over at Game Time and gals, okay? Nicole at Game Time still teasing me with those emails, okay? Shout out to Nicole at Game Time. Make sure you go download that Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
People, we are back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks and doing this at the Don'tos Art Lab, a place that really shoots out that West Coast bias on the daily, okay? We take care of our neighbors here. We really understand that you have to take care of your neighbors before you take care of the world. And I'm lucky, man. I'm lucky to be sitting here in this seat doing my thing at the Don'tos Art Lab, because if I was anywhere else right now, based on what I saw yesterday in that Edmonton Oilers Florida Panthers game, bro, dude, I need a hug. I need a hug. I need a not therapy. I don't want to do this for too long on this episode. We got to talk about Zadorov, and I do want to talk about listing off the names on our decor, because something is very appealing there. So Trevor, can you just like stop me up right now? Can you stop me from A, watching the Stanley Cup Finals, B, being so reactionary to the Oilers potentially doing something so historic, something that they'll never shut up about? Like, how do I move on here and just focus on the Canucks? You know what I'm saying?
I don't have a great answer for you, buddy, to be honest. I mean,
Come
like,
on,
yeah,
man,
it
help
hurts.
me
It
out.
hurts. It hurts as a Canucks fan to see this happen. And it's funny. I'm actually getting some family too text me like, "Oh, you must be cheering for Edmonton now, right?" I'm like, "No, not a chance. Are you kidding me?" I mean, yeah, whatever. Good for Edmonton if they pull it off. But yeah, there's no way in hell I'm cheering for Edmonton. Look, I mean, it would be an insane story if they pulled it off. I mean, even the fact that they pushed it to 6 games is pretty rare. I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but I believe it's something like 80% of teams that go down 3-0 in the NHL playoffs are done by game 5, right? It's a very small number of teams actually even push it to game 6. So we're getting not unprecedented territory, but rare territory, right? And regardless, I look at it this way, and maybe this is me just having this attitude from watching the Canucks suck for a long time, but I like drama and I like good hockey. And I'm definitely not cheering for the Oilers. I definitely want to see the Panthers win. But at the end of the day, let's hope that game 6 is a fun one, man, because it's gonna be crazy either way.
Yeah. What? Shut up, Trevor. Can you just say, I just want the Oilers losing 8-1 on home ice? And can we see Oliver Ekman
100%.
Larson? Can we see Oliver Ekman Larson score the game-winning goal so we could be okay with paying the buyout penalty down the road? Like, honestly speaking, yesterday we were so close to seeing OEL play a huge part in destroying the Oilers. And if that happened again, I would be totally okay with Jim Benning making that trade. I would be totally okay with paying that $5 million cap hit down the road for OEL, because it would have been worth it. It would have been worth it, okay? Anyways, we still got Friday. OEL, a defenseman for the Florida Panthers, wants a defenseman for your Vancouver Canucks. Please do the business and make Vancouver proud. Trevor, I know we have a long ways to go before we see Tom Willander and DPD, or just even one of them in the Canucks lineup full time. But can I fast forward to 2025, 2026? And let's say the Canucks do sign Zadorov, because now I'm just seeing a quote from Rick Dhaliwal saying that Dan Milstein, the agent of Nikita Zadorov, doesn't want to close the door on Vancouver. They really want to be patient with everything Vancouver, because apparently Zadorov really, really, really wants to make it work here in Vancouver. Okay, so let's fast forward to 2025, 2026, or let me say this is kind of crazy, or the end of next season when Tom Willander ends his college career. Let me list off these 5 defensemen and tell me that this doesn't have the potential to be the staple for everything Vancouver Canucks. And oh yeah, they still got JT Miller and Elias Pettersson and company, right? Hughes Hronek, Carson Soucy, Nikita Zadorov, and Tom Willander as 5 of your 6 defensemen daily for the Vancouver Canucks. Like, that's something.
Yeah, and I kind of want to get into some more Tom Willander tape over the summer here as well. I mean, he still has some work to do at the college level. I think that's why he's going to be there for at least one more season. Interestingly enough, he wasn't super successful playing with Lane Hudson at Boston University last year. And obviously Lane Hudson is kind of in that Quinn Hughes mold, right? So I think Tom Willander still has some some work to do in his game, but you believe in the skating, you believe in the hockey smarts, the decision making. You like some of the aggression in his play as well. Aggression more so in terms of the pinching and getting up in the offense rather than being an incredibly aggressive defenseman. So there's some tools there with Tom Willander that are really, really good. And Kyle, you mentioned it too. Look at the ages maybe with the defense as well. Zadorov would be the elder statesman, right? All guys are under the age of 30 right now, but I think you'd have a good mix of Hughes in his prime, Hronek in his prime, Willander is a rookie, and then Susie and Zadorov as the vets. I mean, look, that's a sexy defense right there, man. That's a sexy defense.
Yep.
You're Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford, and you're looking to fill that out. You probably want one more big guy on that defense. And honestly, for the long term, it's not going to be Tyler Myers, but for the next couple of seasons, that could be Tyler Myers.
Yeah. It's
or no, Jules, man. Shout out to Surrey.
You know what? I got to keep bringing this up because maybe you and I are sounding like idiots. Maybe we're so delusional. Maybe we're just not big Tyler Myers fans. But the more and more I think about it, the more and more Trevor is right, because he's been saying it day in and day out that the Canucks need to make Tyler Myers like their 5th or 6th priority, right? Get everything else out of the way, sign Hronek, which you did. See what Zadorov wants, see if you can get that done. Blah, blah, blah. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, save that wallet, save that Myers money on the back burner so you can give Gensel the biggest deal possible. Do all those things first before you desperately bring back Tyler Myers, because Noah Juleson, who apparently is having a baby, damn, 2024, man, technology is crazy. It's like he can do it. He proved me so wrong last year. Like, the improvements that he made were, I wouldn't say on par with what Tyler Myers did throughout the season, but it was kind of similar. Like, they became competent defensemen. Don't forget, guys. Tyler Myers in games 1 to 5, games 1 to 10, horrible. Noah Juleson from games like 20 to 30, horrible when Carson Soucy went down. But they picked it up, and I have a lot of faith in Noah Juleson being your number 16 man going into next season. If he takes less risks, right? He's always going for the big hit, and maybe tame that down just a bit, and you can kind of see yourself having a pretty secure, solid number 6 defenseman there. I'm sold on it.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens. And hey, let's we wrap up the show on the other side, Kyle. Let's maybe look at the Canucks cap situation and talk about what might happen if they do sign Zadorov and Gensel. And we'll get to some comments. Wait,
hold up.
Whoa,
speaking of cap space, okay, this is so unrelated to the Canucks, but Pierre-Luc Dubois just got traded to the Capitals for Darcy Kemper, and the Washington Capitals just bought capfriendly.com, right? They just bought it. They wanted all that data removed to the public. They just wanted to secure all that data for themselves. And somehow they did that and got the encyclopedia of the Stanley Cup, yet did not get LA to retain any salary on PLD. So, what? What's going on, man? What's going on? Anyways, Locked On Canucks. We can't talk about it too long, but that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Under the table stuff going on there, man. Straight up, man.
The Caps are believing. They're believing in Pierre-Luc Dubois, despite all the evidence suggesting otherwise. But the Caps get a younger, entitled. No, that's right. I mean, a younger, big-bodied center who can maybe figure it out. I mean, yeah, that's a fascinating deal. I mean, in Washington, they are the oldest team in the league. They need to get a little bit younger, right? And Kemper was kind of usurped by Charlie Lindgren last season. So I have enough Capitals talk. I want to talk about more Canucks cap on the other side and get to some comments because, again, we're nothing without the people here on Locked On Canucks. Again, you're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. I'm not going to front Trevor, okay? Over your last 5 minutes on the last segment, I was zoning out. I was on Twitter, okay? I was on X. Okay, a lot of things going on X. A lot of trades happening. Markstrom to the Devils, PLD to the Capitals, and Filip Hronek just talked to the media, okay? Here's this quote from Randy Jana, who I guess is watching the little phone call, the Zoom chat that Filip Hronek is having with the media. He says that he trusts Jim Benning, Patrick Allvin, and the coaching staff, and he feels motivated. Okay? He feels motivated. On
Do,
that
do,
note,
do you
we'll
know
say
what
it
you
again.
just said? Do you know what
What?
you just said? Yeah, Filip Hronek trusts Jim Betting, Patrick Alvin, and the coaching staff, bro. You just Jim Betting's in your head, bro.
OEL, man. OEL is in my head, bro. I want OEL. Again, I know he slept at the end of the game, right? Matthew Tkachuk saves the goal from going in, the empty netter. I think OEL thought it went in because he totally gave up on the play. McDavid, 2 seconds later, scores the empty netter, blah, blah, blah. But you're telling me that OEL in game 6 or game 7 having the game-winning goal against the Oilers to kick them out of the playoffs and winning the Stanley Cup wouldn't be so alleviating for the Vancouver Canuck fan base? You know what I'm saying? It would be so storybook-like if he was the guy who got bought out by Vancouver last year, signs a deal with Florida, right? Does his thing, is the number 5, number 6 defenseman for Florida, and if that guy kicks out the Oilers, like that's beauty. That's full circle moment. That's making a Canucks fan's dream come true in another way. OEL eliminate the Oilers, and I will be okay with everything Jim Benning. What? You heard it here first, man.
No, you're crazy, buddy. You're crazy. Let's get some of the comments here, and I'm going to shout out SK93. What are Trevor's thoughts? Sorry, Kyle. He's only asking my opinion here on this one.
It's okay. It's
What are
okay.
Trevor's thoughts on signing?
It's okay, man.
No, well, I think it's because you're always that guy. You're like, I've seen this guy play 3 times.
Yeah.
But my thoughts on signing Alexander Carey to replace Myers. I like that idea because I think Carey is younger. I think he's a more effective defenseman than Tyler Myers. I think he's a better penalty killer than Tyler Myers. The thing that goes against Carey is just really the size. Like, he plays bigger than he is. I think he stands about 5'11", 190-ish, something like that. He's not a big defenseman. So from that perspective, I just don't see the Canucks doing it, but I would prefer Alexander Carey over Tyler Myers. I think they're going to come at a similar price point. I think Carey is a better player.
How about Shawn Walker? Okay, you brought up Shawn Walker a bunch of times. Angelo bringing up Shawn Walker again. Trevor Beggs. This guy was willing to trade Tom Willander, a 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick for Shawn Walker a couple months ago. Okay, you really wanted this guy, and now he's a free agent after playing with Colorado at the end of the season. Is he still a guy that you think the Canucks can pick up, or is he, getting paid too much? Because if you're paying a guy like Walker too much, you might as well keep Zadorov, right? No?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think he's going to get paid too much, to be honest. So, I mean, I like Shawn Walker. Here's the thing about Shawn Walker, and I actually was thinking about Ilya Mikheyev and Shawn Walker the other day. Shawn Walker, again, was pretty bad, not last season, but the season before, recovering from a torn ACL. And then what happens? He gets traded to Philly as part of a cap dump trade. And, he's a year removed from having ACL surgery, and he played great last season. So Shawn Walker is giving me hope for Ilya Mikheyev. But aside from that, I mean, again, I like the player, but I think he's going to command Zadorov money, right? And that I would, again, rather have Zadorov. I'd rather have Alexander Carey over Tyler Myers, but I'd rather have Zadorov over Shawn Walker.
The more and more we talk about this, the more and more we open up about Nikita Zadorov, the more time it takes for the Canucks to sign Nikita Zadorov / for us to hear all the quotes about how he so badly wants to stay here is making me more optimistic that somehow, some way, the Canucks are going to make this all work. And we're going to go into next season with 4 of our 6 defensemen being pretty damn good. Because, we haven't brought up his name a lot during the offseason, but I do believe somehow, some way, there's also another level to Carson Soucy's game. And I think that has a lot to do with finding him another defensive partner that's not Tyler Myers. And if that unlocks him just overall being more efficient, whatever that means, being more consistent. Because I think Carson Soucy, counting the playoffs, might have played about 65 games last year. Potentially, maybe around 70. He got injured quite a bit. But man, oh man, I think he brought a lot of value for what he gets paid for what position he plays. I feel as if there's a pretty important player there. And he adds to this, again, new regime, new level of defense being played by your Vancouver Canucks. Because there's that saying, right? Defense wins championships. And you think about what the Canucks defense did in the second half of the season, and you somehow add the fact that Pettersson can level up here, there is, again, a way for the Canucks to be legitimate contenders next season. And that's exciting, man, because I'm depressed. I'm sad. I miss the Canucks. So look at this comment from Matt Folger, okay? I do not want either of the teams to win, okay? No Florida, no Edmonton winning the Cups. The playoffs should have been canceled after the Canucks were eliminated, okay? Hit the like button for that comment, for real, man. I wish that was the case. You know how happy I was for yesterday being the day the NHL season ended? Because last time I checked, the NHL draft is what, next week? Next week? Is it next Friday?
Yeah.
Draft. I know we only have a 3rd round pick and like a couple of ninth round picks, but I'm so ready for the offseason, man. And last time I checked, September's like 24 days away, aka training camp is right around the corner. So please, Florida, Trevor, man. You know what? We're playing the music, man. We haven't done this since Game 7. It didn't work during Game 7. We're playing the damn music because I can't take this, man. I can't effing take this, man. Where's the music? Where's the prayer music? Did it get eliminated? Did it get deleted? No, it's right here. I almost cried there. Okay, can we just get out of here, man? I'm getting stressed out. Okay,
Yeah.
Locked On Canucks.
I'm
Hronek.
going to bring up one more thing quickly.
Go ahead.
One more thing quickly before we get out of here, because I said I would make a comment on the Canucks cap space, and maybe we can carry this conversation into tomorrow's episode as well. SK93 with the comment: don't think there's space to sign Zadorov, sign Dylan, and replace Zadorov, and use that cap space for Gensel. You know, right now, after signing Hronek, the Canucks have, if you're including Tucker Poolman doing LTIR, about $18.5 million of cap space. Let's say that they signed Gensel and Zadorov for a combined $14 million, which would be a little over 9 for Gensel, a little under 5 for Zadorov, if you think that's plausible. If they do that, where they're going to have, what, $4.5 million in cap space to round out their roster, they could do it if they go bargain shop, and they'll need about 4 more bodies on the roster if they were to sign both those guys. But that would mean, you know, basically a third pairing of probably Juleson and another defenseman at $1 million. It would be no Tyler Myers coming back. Not to mention they got to sign a backup goalie as well. So I think it's probably not possible to sign. I should say that it's not likely that they're going to sign both Gensel and Zadorov, but I think there's a good chance to sign one.
It could happen. Okay, so look at this. Okay, there's a tweet from Satyr Shah. Okay, that breaks it down similar to what Trevor said. And just like moving forward in our lives, Trevor Bags, can we not listen to anything Frank Saravelli says? And can we just listen to Satyr Shah? Because it's clear that this guy actually has a connection with whoever's leaking information, okay? For real. Not Frank Saravelli. That guy is an SEO machine. He really is. Anyway, Satyr Shah is saying, and this is before Hronek signed his deal. He said if the Canucks signed Gensel for $9.5 million and Hronek for $7 million and Myers for $3 million, they still have $5 to $6 million to spend on another defenseman and a depth centerman, okay? How about we minus Tyler Myers making $3 million with your Canucks? Package that with the, I don't know, getting Zadorov done instead of him, and then potentially having what? $3 to $4 million to get another depth defenseman and a depth centerman? I don't know. It's possible, man. Gensel and Zadorov? Why not? Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs, Locked On Canucks. Please hit the like button. It really does help us out a lot. In fact, if you hit the like button, we get closer and closer to our goal of going to Cactus Club every Thursday with our girlfriends and wives on a supreme double date. Okay, me and Trevor still have not gotten on a double date with our loved ones. It's a damn shame, and that's because our friendship is not really true. Okay, we're only colleagues. What? Begsy, sign us out.
Damn, bro. Unbelievable. Let's put that on the summer list. Shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first-time listeners, new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube. We love each and every one of you. Whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening. More free agency, more draft talk, all to come here on Locked On Canucks, breaking down all the news. Sometimes there's 3 episodes in one day. Again, it's your Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. We got you, baby. But we got to get out of here for now. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bound. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Boom, bam. Peace out, peace out, peace out. Go Canucks, go. Please, OEL, save my life. Just save my life.